we've got some songs on albums that we never managed to make in the studio. We never got there, so the live versions ended up on the album because we just never recreate it. Could never get the vibe. We'd spend weeks trying to turn the song into something, and never ever did it.
So that was actually recorded at a gig, and then
One, the Random Smiler off 8 to Angel. That one that's on the album is the first ever performance of it.
And Sandwiches,
Sandwiches.
First time we ever played it.
We was when Mike was living in Wellington. We wrote it in his house, and then ran a DAT machine over the gig at Sandwiches, and we just couldn't quite recreate it in the studio. Because one thing we often did was do live recordings and then use that as a template to build the arrangement because we're jamming non-linearly. And go, okay, well, I did that, and then we build it, and then try and, because, that was a structure that really worked live, but then sometimes you can and sometimes you can't recreate, even with that map, you can't recreate it as good, well, it sounds the same, but it doesn't feel the same. And
Speech off Future Proof was like that. We did one show, I think, Hertzog or something, and we just went, wow, that really worked.
Yeah,
like,
same with
what did we do?
Barra Among Us.
What did we do for that structure? And then we went back in and recreated that. Yeah. But yeah, live. I'm quite keen on throwing the live sets up on Bandcamp or SoundCloud. What are the two? SoundCloud.
Bandcamp and SoundCloud.
Yeah, right. Because the SoundCloud you can't buy stuff, right?
No, that's basically
right. And Bandcamp you can.
Yep.
Yeah. Jess was just told us to start feeding people to Bandcamp, so I'm not quite up with those yet. But there's a fan that's done a 2.5 hour mix up on SoundCloud at the moment. It's totally crazy. But he's got how many tracks? It's like he's crazy amount of tracks. So I guess the idea of just throwing these mixes up. With the Splore set's great. It needs a little bit of editing, and the Government Presser set from Saturday night really great. Really like the idea that you can just start throwing these things up, and then they can travel. And because the live, we find it really hard to make the live vibe in the studio.
Yeah,
we've tried all sorts of things, and I think the next record is probably we're going to have to go into a club when we've written some tracks and just slam them out on a Tuesday afternoon.
Yeah,
or do a special freebie gig and just say, come in and be vibe, and we might play the same track 15 times, but we just
I just play the one track for
one track. So because we've tried it, and but I guess and the monitors in the studio are never big enough. You can't get that massive dynamic range. Yeah, actually, that's one thing. Just one thing we did really early on with our live set is we hired a PA through a PA company. We actually went into their workshop weekend. We set up a reasonably sized PA, and we set ourselves back 20 metres, 30 metres back. And we ran our whole set and we re-tweaked everything. And we took our bass and our kick and our hi-hat bottoms and our tops and we reset them. We were live by then? Or was this just in...
No, that was in 2000.
Yeah, so just it was a normal system. You can do the same with live and then save that as your default setting. So you go out live with that set, not what you've done in your bedroom.
Can you remember what was different about the two, or what you found by doing that?
You don't need as your tops don't have to be as present, and your mids don't have to be as resonant. Resonant mids at loud volume. Like often you have to back off the cue on filters and things because in the studio it's nice and defined, but live it just takes the top of your head off.
So I could recommend that more highly. Find a club that you like going to, do a deal with the owner to go in on a Monday, Tuesday. Pay them. Go and sit out in the dance floor, run it at a moderate volume.
Run it at a stupid volume.
Remix it, and then and then just go and be a punter with your own music. And then save that mix.
Save that. And that's your live set.
And when you go out, that's where you start from. I think it makes the world of difference to your set.
Because you're not trying to simulate excitement and simulate loud volume when you've got loud volume, and a lot of mastering is doing that. It's trying to simulate loudness and presence and excitement, and when you've got
a massive
that,
PA,
when you've got that volume, it's happening for you.
I think that's a real big lesson, especially given that most time we play music, we're in a stupid place called behind the PA. Which is just and again that's why I used to do all my music from front of house. I hate being on stage. It's just stupid. Why on earth are the artists on stage? Because unless you've got fantastic monitors.
But I still even find then you're still kind of isolated from what everyone else is actually hearing.
Very much, and like often the bigger the gig, for the punter, the smaller the experience for us. Like in the epitome of that sort of the big day out level,
Yeah.
where for a start the punters are 25 feet away from you, and we're right up the front of the stage,
Yeah.
but we're in no way hearing what they're hearing. I mean, yes, in those situations there's excellent on-stage side fill,
Yeah.
but anything like that, it's funny. It's actually a smaller, because we so much feed on
Away.
react
Yeah.
on the connection to the audience.
Which is sort of why we like putting our
It's
stage out in front.
Yeah.
So we're just clipping the edge of the PA a little bit and being.
But it can be quite paradoxical that we're giving people the biggest experience, but for us it's actually quite a smaller than normal
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah. Very cool.
So just out of interest, how many of you guys are playing live as your tracks live as opposed to DJing them? And how many people are DJing them all? And everyone else?
Not used to
play live.
Right.
Amassing material.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm actually only very new to the whole electronic production thing. I've been playing like guitars and things for a decade, and so it's kind of interesting getting into the process of trying to create something improvised live. I don't know, like discovering Ableton Live, like I'm sure like yourself and many people, it's been like a really strange experience. It's kind of like, oh, how can I work with this? How can I move people? How can I, play it like an instrument?
Well, like you say, going from a guitar, which is quite a physical, you're hitting something which is making sound, to something
Absolutely. I
that's...
mean, I come from a band background.
Yeah.
As 20 years ago, I started out playing in covers bands. Just guitar, bass, drums, and that's my musical live performance background, as opposed to coming from a DJ perspective. And I'm always trying to get back to that, the same amount of, basically the holy grail is to have the spontaneity of a traditional band, but with the production values that using technology allows you to just get incredible subs and, amazing soundscapes. The palette's so wide, but, trying to keep the spontaneity. Yeah.
So
that's why I have a cheap, crowd-pleasing haircut. It's a branding exercise, and I'm sticking to it.
That's why I have a cheap crowd pleaser.
How do you fight that? How do you fight that? The sort of restrictions that the modern tools give you.
I'd say we're just about over it. I mean, not to just hammer the point, but that's why Ableton, when it came along, replaced so much of what all our method, like what we're actually physically doing, is really hardly changed from 15, 13 years ago. Mike's doing dub mixing on a desk, and I'm playing live keys, but it's just all coming off a totally different platform, which is now you can. You don't have to do all this cross-platform crazy business to get it into live. You have an idea, you can do it. So, that's why I'm a bit of an evangelist about it, because it just blows the doors off what it's possible to achieve. It makes it so straightforward if you've got the imagination to do it. It just throws off the shackles. That's why I love turning other musicians onto it. You're just seeing the scales fall away, and that's fantastic. Yes, it is fantastic. You see, and now you can turn people on more.
Yeah. And again, I guess coming back to that thing about the period where it all just felt like it was easy to drop a plug in here and a thing there.
Yeah.
Now we are at a point where the process is so powerful, it's pretty hard to overload it. I mean, you can still drop 200 reverbs onto it and cause it to crash, but now it's about what you want to do with it.
Yeah, it's about the internal journey.
Yeah.